What is up, Planeswalkers? Therik6 back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and helps support the channel. Now today, we're taking a slight break from the budget mechanics decks. Not only because adapted horribly in terms of the analytics, but for what it's worth, I was doing a bunch in a row, so I figured, let's take a little break from the budget. Give people some interesting gameplay that they want to see. This is a deck that I'm, one, incredibly surprised at how well it does, and two, fulfills a desire that people had in Guild of Ravnica standards. So, this is Gates. There are many different ways to build Gates. This is the style I prefer. One that utilizes only 3 colors. There are plenty of 4-color decks. Usually they're with white. I don't think I've seen one with black yet. But there have been blackless 4-color Gates decks. And usually that's in order to give it things like Ixalan's Bindings and Deafening Clarions. For me, personally, I think this is a totally fine build of the deck. It's a lot more straightforward. It does fold a little bit more to specifically Planeswalkers, but I found that you either just ignore the Planeswalkers and outright kill them, or you just play Rhythm of the Wild and haste like a Gatebreaker Ram and kill the Planeswalker. So I found that Temur is the most streamlined and, for me, personally, the most efficient. So let's jump straight into what the deck actually does. The point of this deck is to ramp out a bunch of gates, lands that just enter tapped in order to do really awesome things, and I'm so glad that this deck actually works. So the way we do this is we have a slight rent package here with 4 Open the Gates. This allows us to make sure we're going to be able to keep playing Gates on our turns. Growth Spiral allows us to ramp our Gates that are in our hand, or, for what it's worth, it also allows us to instant speed get a Plaza of Harmony down if our opponent is being like on the burn plan and we need to gain a bit of life. You can like chain them into each other, but Growth Spiral, very helpful for just getting more lands out quickly. District Guide, just a 2 of, because it isn't the best of the Gate cards. It is just a 3-mana 2/2, and it puts it in your hands, not into play. But again, the ability to make sure that you can put a Gate into play is very important, especially for things like Gate Colossus later on in the game. And then Circuitous Routes, it's a 4-mana card that just gets you 2 lands, and it puts it right into play. It's so good. When you're able to go like turn 2 Growth Spiral, playing a land, turn 3 Circuitous Routes, you have like 6 Gates already on turn 3 to play like Rhythm of the Wild into Gatebreaker Ram or something. It's insanity, utter insanity, and the consistency that this deck has because of its ramp package means that the majority of its opening hands, I've found, are relatively keepable, even if it's kind of iffy. Like, the iffy hands are so much better than some of the decent hands from other decks. So moving on, we have a nice Gate payoff package with 4 Guild Summons. This is our main card draw engine. Whenever we play it for the first time, we're going to be able to tap our excess Gates and draw some cards. And while it's on the field, if we play some more Gates, or we just get Gates, I should mention, if we just have a Gate enter the battlefield, we don't have to play it from hand, then we get to draw more cards. This is fantastic because sometimes you get to a point where you kind of flood out. Guild Summit allows you to deal with that flood in a nice way of drawing cards, and that's what every Magic player likes to do. This, does get hit by enchantment removal, but if they're hitting this and not Rhythm of the Wild, your opponent's probably going to die. We have 4 Gate Ablaze. This is our main board control tactic. This scales so fantastically. In the early game, you can, if you have to, turn 1 land, or turn 1 Gate, turn 2 Gate into one of our non-tapped lands, can wipe a wide board, right? If you're playing this on 3, then the reasonable rate you're going to have is about 2 damage, which is totally fine. But once you get to the later stages of the game, you can have this easily hitting things for like 6, 8 damage, right? And the fact that you're going to be able to kill specifically, Lyras, Doom Whisperers, Carnage Tyrants, right? All of those things means that this card is just great in the early game against aggro and in the mid game against mid-range or even control decks, right? It's a very nice card. I should mention that the main deck that I've modeled mine upon is LVDs. At least that's what I saw in the video. I'm subscribed to him, so I watch his videos. Except he was playing for Lava Coils. I found that Gates Ablaze typically did fine enough, against the majority of creatures I was coming up against. So I found that I would have preferred to have a little bit more game against control. So that's why we're running 2 Fight with Fires and 2 Banefires in place of those Lava Coils. That said, if you're finding that you need a little bit more just 2 mana removal, you should definitely bring in the Lava Coils, and I would suggest bringing in at least 2 for the Fight with Fires instead of taking out the Banefires, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Fight with Fire can still be utilized as a creature-based removal that deals 5 damage instead of 4. You know, it costs 1 more for it, but that's not what you usually do for it. Typically, the reason I run Fight with Fire is because it allows me to have 2 of them and just dome my opponent for 20 total over the course of the 2 castings. It doesn't have to be a total of 20 because we have things like Gatebreaker Ram and Gate Colossus as well as Banefires. But I just like having something that can kill control decks if they, tap out at an inopportune time. So I just really like the flexibility of Fight with Fire. And of course, Banefire, the fact that it can't be countered is kind of the main draw that I had for it. Being able to ramp to such a large mana count, and as long as your opponent, shocked a little bit, if they shock themselves once, and then you hit them with a Gate Colossus, it's incredibly easy to just Banefire your opponent for X equals 10 in this style of deck, against specifically control. So I found that Banefire is very helpful against the Jeskai, Grixis, and Esper controls. So. Then, of course, we have some Rals. Ral is a supplemental card draw, it is supplemental removal, and it's a supplemental win condition. You never are sad to see Ral. You can, draw pieces you need, for example, Rhythm of the Wild, or if you have Rhythm and you need a creature, you can draw one of those. If you have, for example, Gate Colossus in your graveyard and Guild Summit on the field, you can plus Ral and choose a gate and play the gate and draw with your Guild Summit, which is always nice. His -3 is very quickly going to scale up because of the fact that we're running so many instants and sorceries that ramp us. And his -8, if you get to that point, should mean you just win the game. If your opponent, for some reason, got rid of your creature-based win conditions and maybe forced you to discard your Banefires, then being able to just turn all of your ramp spells into 4 damage to the face is very helpful. And then, of course, the main way we win with this deck is Rhythm of the Wild in conjunction with Gatebreaker Ram and Gate Colossus. This is so incredibly hilarious. Rhythm of the Wild makes it so that your creatures can't be countered, which is very helpful against control, but most importantly, it gives them Riot, and you're almost always choosing Haste. Gate Colossus can't be chump blocked, it can't be blocked by small creatures, and you can get it back really easily with a nice Guild Summit plus Guildgate. If you stack your triggers correctly, you're going to be able to put the Gate Colossus back on the top of your library and then immediately draw with Guild Summit. Gatebreaker Ram scales a lot better than Gate Colossus, however, it does die to technically more things. Well, Gate Colossus is, for what it's worth, an artifact, so it dies to artifact things, but Gatebreaker Ram dies to things like Ritual of Soot, for example. But the fact that it has Vigilance means it dodges Seal Away, and the fact that it has Trample gives it the same type of evasion that Gate Colossus does. So these cards here are just hilariously great. This is our mana base. I'm not going to talk too much about it. You kind of just want all of these. This basic spread has been totally fine for me, and Plaza of Harmony is a great way to gain life and make sure you don't die against more aggressive strategies. I'm not running the... what is that darn... Gateway Plaza, because I find that it's too slow for what it's worth. Plaza of Harmony is just better in my opinion. Really quickly, I'm going to try to run through some of these sideboard cards. These are essentially cards that I've seen in other decks that are playing Gates, be it the 3-color Temur version or the 4-color Blacklist version. Found of Renewal is a nice way to gain life against the early aggressive decks. That said, I prefer just to have Open the Gates. Shimmer of Possibility is a nice way to dig deep, but I found that my Guild Summits, Growth Spirals, and Ral have been plenty of card draw for me. Lava Coil, I explained a bit earlier. Clave of the Guild Pact, I wish that this card was better, but the fact that it costs so much to cast and activate when our creatures are going to be coming out swinging rather large anyway means that it's just kind of not worth it. Gateway Sneak, again, another way to draw cards, but it occupies the same spot as Guild Summit, and Guild Summit, in my opinion, is just better. Carnage Tyrant, if you hate control, and you've been finding that this deck does relatively poorly against control, if nothing else, you can definitely put this in the sideboard if you're playing best of 3, or you can slot them in as probably a 2 of. Maybe you can get rid of your District Guides or Fight with Fires, but Carnage Tyrant is something that you can do against control. Gatekeeper Gargoyle is... It isn't even a budget option because of the fact that these are both uncommons, right? This entire package is relatively cheap. But let's say that you don't have the extra mythics for Ral. It's totally reasonable to include Gatekeeper Guardians as just additional creatures to utilize with your Rhythm of the Wild, right? So it's just an additional win condition that you can utilize that unfortunately doesn't scale as well as the others because this checks as soon as it enters the battlefield. Expansion Explosion, it's a good card against control. You know, if you're able to, you can expansion Thought Eraser from them or something, and then Explosion just scales really nicely against control. And very similar, Hydroid Crassus, I don't know how to say this. It's just a nice scaling card that draws cards and gains life. So, all right, let us go into Ranked. I've been playing this in Ranked, and I've been doing relatively well. And I'm honestly surprised by it. The strength of this deck is much higher than I expected. You play Gates on turn 1, and it's so weird. We're going first. And I do wish I had a third land, but since our lands are coming in tapped anyway, this is probably fine. If we do draw a third land, we can disregard, which is helpful. See what our opponent's on. I've been coming up against a lot of mono white at my specific rank, and Gates Ablaze helps a lot against that. Alright, so we will potentially be able to disregard on turn 4. We do have a number of untapped lands, but it looks like it is, yep, the Burny Burn deck. Kind of slow against them, but hopefully we are able to persevere through it. Plaza helps a ton against this matchup. Theater of Horrors, interesting. Okay, so this is a bit different than the builds I've been seeing. So we're definitely going to District Guide here. It's a nice blocker for what it's worth. Take action, and we're going to go ahead and get a Simic Guildgate and play it tapped. And next turn, we can Circuitous Routes, or we can just Gates Ablaze if we need to. We won't necessarily need to. But let's see what our opponent does. Sovereign's Bite, incredibly rude. I do assume they're going to play the Pyromancer. Yep. Luckily, they can't really attack me here because I do have a blocker. Alright. So we can go and play this, and this. And we're going to get a Simic Guildgate, and I think I'll get a Izzet Guildgate. So next turn, I will be able to Gates Ablaze to wipe their board, and start playing, Gate Colossus with Rhythm of Wild. I do think that it's better for me to play Gate Colossus and Guild Summit because I really want to find the plazas. The plazas are very important for this build, or for this matchup. So that's definitely something I'm going to want to do. It looks like they're probably going to shock. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. We're going to get domed. Go to 7. This is probably the worst matchup. Because you're required to ramp a little bit faster than I have been. That said, I do think this is worth doing. Guess we might as well play this now. And we'll draw 2 cards. So we could draw 1 card and Gate Colossus, or we can draw 2 cards. I think it's honestly better to draw 1 card and Gate Colossus, because the Colossus can at least block. And then we'll tap this and draw. If we need to, next turn we can draw a bunch more. Because right now we're just looking for plazas, right? That's if we're able to draw our plazas, that's 12 life total. Can I draw, please? Can I draw, please? Thank you. Alright, so we have another Colossus, which is nice. Gives us a nice clock on our opponent. Let's see. They do lightning strike my face. Ooh, unfortunately, we might just die. Luckily, we can block that. But we need the plazas. Field. Field turns any 3 damage burn spell into lethal. But they don't have it just yet. Oh, the plaza was right on time. Thank you very much. And we are going to tap this for blue, tap this for green, Guild Summit. How many do I want to tap? I definitely want to be playing the Gate Colossus, because I need to pressure my opponent. But I don't think I need to play the Rhythm of the Wild, so I think I only really need to keep up one land here. And that draws me 5 cards. Fantastic. Banefire is going to be helpful to potentially just kill my opponent next turn. As long as we don't die. Our opponent has decent access to things. Ooh, Sovereign's Bite makes it hard. Sovereign's Bite is 4 damage. If they have a shock, we are dead. Any of their burn does kill us, but I think this was the route that I had to take. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I just give them all of this. So I need to decline. So I should theoretically be alive here, unless they have another burn spell anyway. Oh, I forgot about I thought that they didn't play the other land. That said, they play this, then I take 5 from this, so I'd still be at least at 1. All right, this should be a win then. If they Sovereigns Bite me here, they can't block with Electrostatic Field because of Gate Colossus, so they should be dead. I attack them for 16, and then I Banefire them. I guess I could Rhythm the Wild Gatebreaker Ram as well. I don't know if I need to do that, but I will. Because it scales, I think, better with the mana, because I'm paying 6 for substantially more than 6. I think this is correct. Haste. I think I might have did my math wrong. I did my math wrong, didn't I? Oh, I'm so sorry, everyone. Because this was... Yeah, because this is blocked damage. I had totally forgotten, yeah. Because they can just kill me with Theater. Darn, that was a dumb on my part. I'm off by 1 damage. I could have just secured his roots. Well, no, that wouldn't have worked either. Yeah, that was a punt. That was a giant punt. All right, maybe my opponent won't see it. All right, let's see if my opponent sees, because they do have Theater of Horrors, but do they know that they can ping me with it? Decline. So maybe they don't, and maybe they drew poorly. What? What? They could have killed me with Theater of Horrors. I still might be dead, but no. Darn, that was definitely a punt. That was a whoops from me. Yeah, for whatever reason, I was just like not considering the 8 damage that they could block. So I was like, oh yeah, just 16 plus 9. That's totally lethal. But I could have just dealt the damage with my burn spells. Ooh, gosh. This is actually one of the worst hands I've seen with this deck. We're going second. We don't even have, like, Growth Spiral. I think we have to mulligan this one. I hate the game. Everything's bad. Let's keep this. We're probably honestly going to need Plaza. Might be going against the Blackless Gate deck. Nope. Just Selesnya. Oh, nope, it's Bant. I wonder what kind, though. So next turn I can play like a 4/4 Gatebreaker Ram, which is fine. It's okay. Nope. Better play District Guide. Go ahead and get a Gruul Guildgate. can block if I need to. Opponent is on... Yeah, I'm blocking. Opponent is on bans. But to what end? So I think I'm just going to Plaza into Circuitous Routes to be able to Colossus the crap out of my opponent. With this deck, you do need to be careful about running into things like Settle the Wreckage with your Colossi. Okay, this is definitely the Gate deck. I believe the white version still doesn't play Settle. I could definitely be wrong. So this would take both of these to 3. Then I could play both of my Colossi. Yeah, so I think I just want to put some nice pressure on my opponent here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's better to play the other Colossus. Right, I can do basic math. 7, yeah. So next turn I can Guild Summit, draw 4 cards. Opponent could Gates Ablaze me. But if I draw a gate, right, they're going to Guild Summit. They're going to draw probably a bunch of cards. And if I draw... Okay, so they're keeping up some form of removal. Oh, they're going to play their own Gate Colossus. Makes sense. So I am going to... I mean, if they're playing a defensive Gate Colossus, that's pretty good for us. I'm going to play Guild Summit first. I'll draw 3 cards. Because I can open the gates and draw another one if I want. Sure, that's fine. So open the gates. Get a... Izzet Guildgate, I suppose. Play this out. And draw a card. Nice, nice. So next turn I'll be able to rhythm into double Gatebreaker, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ah, no, I thought I had another tap. That's fine. But I will be able to play the other Gate Colossus if I open the gates first, so they're gonna be able to... If they're gonna continue playing on defense, that should be good for us. Roots first, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that should be enough to play their Colossus for free. Interesting, they also are playing Merfolk Branchwalker. Not entirely sure why. So the real question is my opponent playing Seal Away? Because I don't know. If I attack with all of these and I get Seal Away, that's going to be pretty bad. How much would this be? This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be 8. So I would need to like play an attack with all of them. I've not seen any of the others play Seal Away. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to check real quick. I know some play Cleansing Nova. I've seen a couple play Teferi, but I haven't seen any play Seal Away. So you know what? We're gonna YOLO and go for it. Playing counterspells? Oh, okay. I was very confused. They could have been highlighting... What are you playing? Growth Spiral? Sure, Growth Spiral's fine. They get to draw another card, sure. But that takes the number of things that they could have down quite a bit. Play this. And hope that our opponent can't get rid of our stuff. And hopefully they're dead. And they're dead. Fantastic. The first game, absolutely should have won. That was just a big yikes from me. Second game was pretty decent against the Mirror. And let's go to a third. Kilvin. I am still working on trying to make sure my deck techs don't take freaking forever. I do know today's was kind of long, but... This hand allows us to play a turn 3 Gatebreaker Ram, which honestly isn't that bad. And then we can Circuitous Routes likely the turn after. And I have Rouse. I think this is okay. If our opponent's aggressive, we kind of are leaning on the Gatebreaker Ram to make sure we don't die. Oh, no. Alright, so we'll do this into Izzet Guildgate, into definite Gatebreaker Ram on turn 3. Because we need to make sure that we can... Oh. It's Drakes. Well, that becomes worse for us, I believe. Because Drakes are very bursty. Chart course, sure. Wait, you didn't attack first. I guess they wanted to discard. Okay. I was very confused. I was like, you could have attacked me first and didn't have to discard. Ooh, growth spiral though. It's kind of greedy, but I think I'm gonna growth spiral. Put this into play. Put this into play. Next turn I have 5 mana, so I can just Ral. Kind of want this to die. I'd love a Gates Ablaze. I'd love a Pizza Blaze. Just Phoenix, okay. It's not a Gates Ablaze, sir. So I can play Ral and search for a Gates Ablaze. Ral would not die on board. And if he does divert attention away from me, I think that's actually pretty good. But we want to make sure we can hit our board wipe. That's not a board wipe. I think I would rather take the land here than the late gate. Just because we want to make sure that we can do multiple things in the same turn. So let's see if they get their other Phoenix out. Let's see if Ral absorbs some damage from us. Just like the Burn deck, I think this deck is also relatively difficult, purely for the fact that it's so bursty. You know, both of those decks can win out of hand. Clever girl. Mad respect. That was a nice line. But both these decks can really win out of hand, allowing them to kind of bypass some of our onboard effects, especially since a lot of their things are flyers, whereas our things are on the ground. So let's see, we're gonna cast another thing. Nope. Okay. No. All right. And they're just going face. They don't care about Ral at all. But they shocked. Why did you? I guess that's for a counter spell. So let's play a land, and let's play Gates Ablaze first. They could play Ionize. Be down to 6? Ugh. I guess I could kill the Electromancer. I assume it's Ionize here, right? I guess I could have killed the Electromancer first. Okay, that's fine. I think what I want to do is look for Plaza. Hey, look, it's a Plaza. Yeah, so I'll play Plaza, or I'll play the Gatebreaker Ram to put some pressure on my opponent here. As long as I don't die this turn, Plaza is going to help. Crackling? Sure, Crackling just dies to Ral. They could have a dive down. But I don't mind a dive down too much. It becomes a 4-7? Yeah, it would become like a 4-7 if they dived it down. I'm not going to haste it. Okay. So doming me for 5. Are you going to hit Ral? Are you serious? Yeah, I was about to say, like, if you hit me for 5, then I need to make it so you can't do stuff next turn. So we have to Plaza here and kill Crackling Drake and hope our opponent doesn't have a way to reanimate both of those. I messed up. Once again, I hate myself. That was a big whoops. I just Circuitous Routes first. Would have been fine.
You
To
ready
keep.
to go toe to toe with me?
That was dumb. Yeah. We're probably dead anyway, but that was definitely a mistake that I should not have made. Just cast the roots first, and then use this. That's why. I thought the District Guide was a sorcery. I just glanced at my graveyard. I was like, oh yeah, I've had only 3 sorceries, or 3 instant sorceries go in there. Am I dead? They can maximize velocity and beacon bolt. That would leave them with 1 mana, so if they have like opt. Not sure. There's definitely a way that they can just go. They shock even. Discovery, okay. That does kind of turn off their beacon bolt as an option. I want to see bottom here, or graveyard, I should say, unless there are Clay Phoenixes, in which case, don't. Okay, and then he's going to maximize velocity. The Gatebreaker Ram. My opponent found the line. They opened up their eyes. They found the line. Oh, just shocking. Yeah, okay. Since I misplayed so horribly, as penance, I will play another game. Going up against Axe Guy with Teferi seems a bit strange to me. I go first. I have a Gates Ablaze and a District Guide. As long as I draw another land, this should be okay. We are kind of beholden to drawing another land. But drawing Growth Spiral also works. Opponent mulligan, helpful. Twice, helpful. There's no land. Only Zool. Okay, that's actually incredibly helpful. Do I want to get a basic or a gate? I think it's actually better to get a basic here. Play our District Guide next turn. And follow that up with getting a gate from her. Yeah, I think that's better. Opponent seems to be on... My guess is going to be Grixis Control. A lot of Esper running around, but I'm guessing Grixis. Darn, I was wrong. So this can get countered here, but yeah, we're just gonna go for it. Didn't get countered, cool. And we're gonna go ahead and get our Simic Guildgate. Next turn we can play the gate, District Guide again. Gates Ablaze, kind of worthless in this matchup, but let's go and attack. So in this matchup, the best thing to do, I've found, this is going to be a Kaya's Wrath, is to try and resolve Rhythm of the Wild, and then just dome your opponent real fast. Nope, not a Kaya's Wrath. Very interesting. Let's go ahead and attack in. And we can play a Forest, but, I mean, it isn't, like, in order to play around some form of counterspell, but I think it's better just to do this. And let's get a Gruul Guildgate and a Simic Guildgate. Our Colossi are both worth, or cost 2 mana, but we're just going to force our opponent to answer our board now. You know, 4 damage a turn isn't great. Or isn't something that they like to see.
Trust, we need to move quickly.
Teferi is decent here. I would love to draw Rhythm of the Wild. To try and skirt around a counterspell. It's not a Rhythm, how dare you? I think I'm just going to send both it to Fairy. And hope that my Guild Summit can resolve. Alright, then let's draw some cards. Definitely 3 at least. Do I want to draw any more than that? I think 3 is fine. Because it allows us to hold up Growth Spiral and cast a Colossus. Yeah, so this is fine. Yeah, look, Growth Spiral. Next turn, how much do I have for Banefire? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not terrible. So I can Gate Colossus here to force a board wipe. But do I want to force a board wipe? It does tap them down. Well, it taps them mostly down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I Growth Spiral, and then I top deck an untapped land, I can kick a Fight with Fire. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Teferi can't tuck my Guild Summits because I decided to attack him last turn.
Time for a break.
What do you got? Kaya's Wrath. Alright. That's exactly what I expected. Now my opponent can cast Sinister Sabotage here. Let's draw some cards. Because at this point, the plan, theoretically, is just burn my opponent with Banefire. And or Fight with Fire. So let's Plaza up. So we can cast a single Gate Colossus, and I think I'm okay with that. Just could be countered. That's fine. I don't think it's worth playing into the other counter. Let's go ahead and Growth Spiral. Alright, sure. So these two cards, kind of dead. I don't think it's correct to play another creature here. Could be super wrong. There's an argument, so this could be like Mortified or Cast Down. It's fair. There's an argument for playing, like for Banefiring to Fairy. I don't think that's correct, considering the amount of mana we have right now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. On the Colossus, incredibly rude. So in the main deck, I don't actually think there's a way for me to deal with that. Unfortunate. So now I have 3 dead cards in my hand. So I think the plan is to attempt to Fight with Fire. Well, let's see. 5, 10. And I'll have enough for a Gatebreaker Ram left over. So I do think we just do this first. Do we do this first or do we Gatebreaker Ram first? Syncopate counters either direction. Or I guess it technically doesn't. I guess Gatebreaker Ram means that if it is specifically Syncopate, then they'd hit the Fight with Fire regardless. I think I would rather Fight with Fire resolve. Oh, wow, okay. Let's do 3. And 9. Oh, right, I have to choose things first. Let's do 7 and 3. Let's see if this resolves. I kind of doubt it. Revitalize. That's fine. You can kill my Gatebreaker Ram as well. I don't actually care. Because it should put you within Banefire range. Mortify? Also fine. Okay, so as long as my opponent doesn't specifically make me discard. Like, he has to deal with both the Gate Ram. Okay. Do you have a Thought Eraser? Do you have a main deck Thought Eraser? You don't. Get murdered. So we can do this for 5, 10, 12. And this is exactly why I run Banefire. Ixalan's Binding. So theoretically, if we're running white, you can run Ixalan's Binding of your own, which will sometimes enter opposing Ixalan's Bindings. Or you could just kill your opponent. Bada bing, bada boom. Your opponent's dead. So theoretically, first game should have won. Second game, well, we did win. Third game, we lost, but I think I made a mistake, but I think I still would have lost that one. I don't even remember. And fourth game, we won. So I hope that was a good showing for you all. I'd like to, of course, thank my lovely patrons, especially Salamander Zaraga. If you'd like to join them in supporting the channel, you find links to that down in the description below, as well as links to my Discord server, where we chat and hang out, talk about Magic, and my Aether Hub account, where I have, like, all of my decks listed and things. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, go and tap that like button, add a subscription to your Manipool, and cast a comment to the comment section down below. And until next time, all will be one. Make sure you hold the gates, though. Got to keep the gates steady. This deck is the most surprising deck of all of the new decks.